Hello Flosstube, this is AM Dreaming Stitcher. Today I have something of a Flosstube extra for you. This is part of what I expect to be a series of videos in which I will parade all the kits and all the charts and possibly also flip through books that I have accumulated in my 27 and at this point almost a half years of cross stitching. Some people like to see parades, some don't. So if this is your cup of tea, I hope you see something in it that you enjoy. I'm going to try to stick to the basics about each as I can derive it from the packaging unless I know anything extra. And I apologize in advance for two things that I really don't have much control over. One is the fact that I know my camera is going to go through some antics when it focuses and refocuses itself. I hope that doesn't make you queasy. And also the color, because of my computer, is not going to be great. I am filming in natural light, and I hope you can see the things well enough to at least enjoy the parade, even if you're not getting the true color values, which in some cases are just marvelous. All right, this first kit is produced by Heritage Stitchcraft, or at least it originally was. This has been licensed from them by a company called PIN, P-I-N-N. It is part of the John Clayton collection, and it is called Sheep Track. Hopefully, if you are interested, you can see things like the kit numbers in case you need those to search this up to have a closer look at it later because it interests you. It, like most of my kits, is on Aida, 14 count Aida in this case. I do have a few on linen or even weave, but they're few and far between. This also has cotton thread, which again the majority of them do, and this one lets you know it's DMC. Some people like to see the backs of the kits too, so I'll flip them over when that doesn't, give away too much like a chart, and let you see how it's packaged. So that is Sheep Track from Stitchcraft, Heritage Stitchcraft. Sorry about that. Here is another one from the same series, also the John Clayton collection. He did a lot of the kits that Heritage Stitchcraft seems to offer. This one is called Morning Delivery. Again, it was licensed and produced by PIN. It is on 14 count Aida. I really looked for this one for a long time to find it at an affordable price and was happy to come across it at last. And he did have a whole series of these kind of circular landscape designs as far as I can tell when I searched up Heritage, but I only have these two that I can recall, and that's plenty. Oh, forgot to show you the back. There you go. There's how it's packaged at the back. Next, coming out of my box, I have a couple from a company called, I believe, Oven. You can expect me to mispronounce things badly. I really have no idea how to say a lot of these names and such, so forgive me if it offends your ears, but I'll do my best. This one is Oven Kit 1255. It has been given the name in English, The Big Wave in Kanagawa. Again, I'll pronounce things wrong. Don't expect apologies every time. It is from a very famous woodcut engraving by Hokusai Katsushika, and they credit the designer of this cross stitch as Anna Krasnianek. It is also on Aida, but this time it's 16 count. For anyone that is not familiar with what the difference that makes, it means that within a project given like this size of 20 by 30 centimeters, something that is 16 count Aida will have a lot more stitches within that area than something that's 14 count Aida. So it makes a difference in the total stitches that you end up making, because 16 counts just a little, few more stitches to the inch. It has 14 colors. They're nice enough to tell us. And they are cotton threads. My Oven kits, I don't know if it's because I had them open at some point or they just come this way, but you can't see anything when you flip them over. So I won't even bother flipping this next one. This is Oven's kit number 1311. The colors in real life are so beautiful, pinks and greens. I know they're washed out on my computer, which is too bad, but I think you can still see that if you like landscapes, this is a lovely one. It is given the English name Fujiyama and Lake Kawaguchi from an engraving by Okada Koichi. And the same designer as did the last one produced this kit, Anna Krasnianik. I don't know if I mentioned, but some of my kits have been sorted into boxes or bins that kind of have a theme to them, and others are just completely miscellaneous, so there's no telling what you're going to get. But this particular box I think of as my scenic collection, so you're going to see a lot of similar things in this 30-minute segment. Here we have a kit I have seen a lot of cross-stitchers working on, and I have seen the same subject produced by different cross-stitch designers and companies. This is clearly Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. I do not see the actual name in English on the kit, and with Riolis, which is this brand, that seems to be the case. They're often sold at places like Amazon or 123 Stitch or wherever with a name given. But when you look on the packaging, usually all you have to go by is the number. So this is Riolis 1520. And if you wanted to search it, you'd probably have to look for it that way. The designer is Vladimir Krasnoshikov, and it has 14 count white Aida and a color chart. This time, instead of cotton floss, because it's Riolis, they often use instead something they're calling Safil, S-A-F-I-L, 30 colors of it, and it's a wool and acrylic yarn. And so whether they use Safil or Anchor, they often package it this same way. But it's my understanding, I haven't done one of the wool kits yet, that the wool is not, the wool acrylic is not divisible the way that DMC or Anchor are, so you just stitch with the thread as is. Next up is another Riolis kit. This one I think I saw sold under the name Tailwind, but again, you won't find an English name on the outside of the packaging anywhere obvious. It is Riolis kit 1356. I have seen others stitching on it. My father was very fond of ships and nautical things, so this kind of makes me think of his interests, but it's a beautiful scene even without that family connection. It is on 14 count white Aida. I'm glad it's 14 count because it's huge. You can see it's 23.5 inches in its longest dimension, and a larger number for the count, smaller squares, would be quite a big job to take on. This has 24 colors of the wool and acrylic yarn, and it is also created by the same designer as the last one, Vladimir Krasnoshikov. Let me turn it over for you so you can get a look at the colors. Obviously there's a lot of floss packed in there because you're not seeing any of the blue ocean colors there. These are grays. My camera's kind of misleading you a little. Alright, another Riolis kit coming up. This one is Riolis 1431. I think the original name was something that had hounds in the name of it. Here we have a scene that looks like possibly the English gentry doing their fox hunting, which was always a horrible thing for the fox, but a beautiful iconic image if you like that kind of thing. I like the scene. It has a color chart with on 14 count white Aida with 30 colors, but this time instead of the wool acrylic, it is Anchor floss. And you might be able to see the dimensions there. The designer this time, it says it's created by Alina Melintieva. And this time what we see are sort of samples of the floss, but it's packed in there. And in this case, there's enough of some colors that they're actually skeins, if you can see that. Okay, next. This one is from Pana. I personally cannot tell which of my kits, unless I look carefully at the packaging, have been produced in Russia, which in the Ukraine, which in Estonia, any of those Eastern European nations, but you'll see a number of them because apparently my tastes are similar to those of that region of the world, because like this kind of kit. Yes, I do have some of the sorts of charts that a lot of other floss tubers do, and I have a lot of dimensions gold, which you'll see some of today, and so on. But a lot of these ones with the Cyrillic writing on them. So I don't know. I guess I just have something in common with that aesthetic. This Pana kit does not give us a name in English. I think it was something like, or was sold as under something like Fleet in Algiers. And it is based on original artwork by Robert Salmon, but it has been designed for cross stitch clearly, and they give the designer as Natalia Romanova. The number you can see there might help you to search it. I don't know. And when I ordered it, I liked the design very, very much, but I wasn't aware that it was going to be on this printed Aida fabric. The design itself is not printed. It's not like those many kits out of mostly China that give you the entire design and you just stitch over it. But the background, which I have noticed with a number of other Pana kits at times, has been printed for you so that to get this effect of a stormy sky, you don't have to stitch all that. I don't know if that's good or bad. I like to stitch the things, but for better or worse, that's what I got. I didn't know it's what I was ordering, but it's what I got. Okay, this next kit is from a company that in English is calling itself Magic Needle. It calls this particular piece Snow Monastery. It comes with 25 colors. It's on a 14 count Aida fabric. Comes with a color chart. I actually prefer black and white charts, I think, but that's okay. I'll take whatever I get if it's a design I like well enough, and I think this one's lovely. It does not have the designer's name somewhere clear enough for me to pick it out for you, so apologies to the designer that I can't tell you who that would be. But here's a peek. Oh no peek at the back of this one because the chart is showing. Again, I don't know, it might be because I had that one open at some point to look at it. They're so tempting and I want to make them and it doesn't happen. Now here's one I know I had open. This is another Pana kit. The designer is credited as Lyudmila Inyakina, something along those lines. I do not remember the name of this one. I've had it for a while, and it has the real colors are so much warmer and browner than what my camera is showing you, what my poor computer is showing you. But this is very much a style that I like, and I'm really looking forward to making this one. It looks like and may actually be based on some old European painting. And if I flip to the back, you won't see much because, as I said, I had it open, so you can't see all the flosses and things. Okay, next up in this bin, I see a number of Dimensions Gold collections coming up. And if you are familiar with them, don't flop around too much there. These have very shiny packaging, so you're going to get a star cameo from my camera above what we're looking at. But this one is called Valley of the River Beck, and it is designed by Carl Valenti. It is on, I think I'll have to flip it over to tell you the Aida, but I want to mention while you're looking at the picture itself that this one was a design that was available when I first started stitching, back when the Dimensions Gold still came in bags. And I liked it then, but I didn't buy it at that time. But as happens to some of us, it stayed in my mind and kept niggling me and, just wouldn't leave me alone until eventually I had to give in and find it somewhere and buy it. Here's what it looks like at the back. It is pre-sorted, happily, and they tell us it's on a 14 count ivory Aida. So that gives you some idea what's going on with that one. Okay, next. As I said, we're going to have several Dimensions Gold, so there's going to be a lot of glare from the packaging, and they seem to be so tall that you may not see everything in the camera screen at once, so I might have to shift it a little bit. But this one is called Italian Vista. They say the design is by John Zacchio, Z-A-C-C-H-E-O. I looked looked for this one for a while. The price here in the States was just too high. I mean, it wasn't here. I could only order it through places like eBay. There are other folks that were selling it too, I think. But the price was always just too high, so I kept an eye on it until it finally found a seller where I thought maybe I can bite the bullet and get this. It was not a cheap kit by any means, which makes it sad that I can't ever get all of these stitched, because some of them I paid quite a bit for, and I would love to be able to, make them. That's the dream. It's just not going to happen because I've got too much. This one would tell us the count and the color of the fabric. It looks to me like an ivory, but it's been covered over with this sticker, so I am not sure if I can get it. 18 count. I thought it was looking a bit like 18 count. So a lot of stitching going on in that one. Okay, here's one that is called Coastal View. The designer is Sam Park. I can't say that I like this as well as some of my other scenic dimensions ones, but I liked it well enough. Sometimes they just tempt you and you're in the mood for them at that time, and sometimes you're not so sure. There have been lots of other beautiful scenic dimensions gold collections that you will not see in my collection, just because although they're beautiful and I like to see others stitch them, they don't call to me. I'm thinking of things, for example, like the flower markets and the bistros and stores and things like that. They're just not quite what I see myself stitching, but they're lovely. Anyway, this particular one is on 18 count ivory Aida, and there you can see the flosses all sorted for us. Next up is one that I wanted to purchase, I should say, from the first time I saw it, but I hesitated when I discovered that, like other artwork licensed by this company, it's produced in other forms, such as jigsaw puzzles, paint by number, and somehow that made it less enticing to me to know that if I spent many hundreds of hours of time recreating this in thread, someone else had put it together in an afternoon as a jigsaw. I don't know, but I love the image so much, and I'm sure that if you've watched any amount of Flosstube, you've probably seen others stitching this, and it is beautiful stitched up. So we have Rocky Point, designed by James Hemsworth. It is on an 18 count ivory Aida, and there you can see the flosses all packaged up in there ready to go. Next is one that again I think was available early on when I started stitching, and I may have waited a while to get it. It is called Winter Impressions. It's a design by Alan Maley. I have another one that I don't know if it's in this box or not, called Alan Maley's Gracious Era, that I've seen folks stitching up. This is another Dimensions Gold collection, and although I don't have a lot of interest in stitching human figures, when it's something scenic like this, where the focus is not on the individual but on the scene, I really find them quite appealing. So this is an older version, or at least one produced elsewhere, because you can see the flosses have not been pre-sorted for you. I have no issues with that. I don't mind sorting my floss. This contains a 16 count dove gray Aida. Here's another that I've seen lots of Flosstubers have in their collections, and I've seen some stitching it. It is called Lakeside Village. I've also seen, as with many beautiful Dimensions and other designers' kits, that it's been out there in the printed cross-stitch market, whether or licensed or not. But I have an actual Dimensions Gold, so I don't have any qualms about it being properly licensed and credit going to all the individuals, and profits, if need be, going to all the individuals that they should. This is designed by Sung Kim. and it has beautiful bright colors. It's on a 16 count light blue cotton Aida. So as you can see, some of these gold collections are 16 count, some are 18 count. Occasionally they may be 14 count. I'm not sure if we've come across any of those yet. I can't say I've paid attention myself to what I've told you, but yeah. This one is a design they credit to Charles Wysocki. I know for sure he did the original art because I've seen his style of art on puzzles and cross stitch and so forth, prints, posters. I don't know how involved he is in the actual translation to cross stitch, but he's credited here as the designer. It is called Cozy Cove, and it has been readily available for a long time. Some of his other cross-stitch designs go way back and aren't necessarily in publication now, but you can always find them in the secondhand market if you like his aesthetic. This is on 18 count ivory Aida, and there you see the threads. Oh, they are so much prettier in real life. Cameras, computers. Okay, this is one that you may have seen before, and if you have, then it'll give you some idea just how washed out my computer colors are, because this has the most intense pinks, for example. It is Japanese Garden from Dimensions Gold Collection. It's from a design by Sung Kim, and I've seen lots of people working on it. It's not an easy stitch, but it's beautiful. It is on an 16 count light blue Aida. Pardon for the thumping noise if that carried across to y'all. Next, we have an RTO kit. I told you this was some of my scenes are a bit architectural. We're starting to get into some of those in some cases here. This is called Old Tallinn, Tallinn. I love the medieval look of this city, these buildings. It's sort of like folks liking to stitch castles, or I guess in a way it's like folks liking to stitch samplers with big houses on them. I don't know. I like these buildings. I think they're lovely. I'd like to make them. There's the RTO number M201. I don't know if you can see that. And the floss. Pardon me. I tried to cover the microphone. I don't know if that helped, but I had a sneeze there. They say this was designed by Olga Sotnikova, and it is on a 14 count Aida. Next we have a couple more John Clayton designs from Heritage Stitchcraft. The interesting thing about these is one is directly from Heritage and another is licensed through PIN. So this one is called The Pyramids. It's from the John Clayton International Collection. And he did a whole series of these kind of tall, thin designs of places around the world, and I like all of them. I have at least a couple as charts. I have a couple as kits. And in this case, I actually have the pyramids as a chart and a kit. I had the chart first, and then when I had the opportunity to get this kit at a very good price, I kind of couldn't resist. It is on a 14 count Aida fabric, but it seems to be available also as a 9 count design. Again, PIN took care of the licensing to produce this, and there's a glimpse of the threads and such that come with it. Here's another in the same series, but this one is directly from Heritage Stitchcraft, and John Clayton International Collection again. It's on a 14 count Aida. This one is called Golden Pavilion, and they're sort of tooting their own horn here, saying it's one of a series of stunning landscape designs in counted cross stitch, and I really do like virtually all of their designs of this kind. You're going to see some chart there, but since there's no key and it's just a piece of it, I hope that doesn't hurt anybody. I wanted you to see that it is advertising some of the other designs on the back. I love the Alpine Meadow, the Greek Steps, they've got Venice. It's all lovely. It's too tiny for you to see most likely, but maybe you can look up the collection somewhere online and get a closer look at them. It's copyrighted to Susan Ryder, so I'm not sure if she is perhaps the individual that translated convert it into stitching, or if that's the company. I really don't know. Okay, next we have a Riolis kit numbered 1364. I can't recall the English name that I purchased it under. It was something like Prague, which I assume is the city we're looking at. Obviously, I chose it in part because of the beautiful swans. I think I saw a Flosstuber doing this at one time. I'm not sure. There probably have been many, but I can't keep up with all the Flosstubers out there, of course. It says it's created by Galina Skabayeva. It's on a 14 count Aida with 25 colors of anchor. So again, with Riolis, sometimes you get the wool acrylic, sometimes you get divisible cotton floss. Here's a look at the back of this packaging. You can see that they're packaged in the same way that the woolen acrylics were earlier, but it is actual anchor floss. Next, this one, again, no English name is given, but it was sold, I believe, as the Alhambra. Created by Vladimir Krasnoshikov. I believe he did one of the earlier ones I showed you. It is on 14 count white Aida with 27 colors of the Safil woolen acrylic yarn. So it would be a very different stitching experience than that previous anchor kit, just because of the feel of the floss as you go through. The fabric is going to be very, very different in the way it lays and so forth. Oh, I should say the kit number is 1459. And that's telling me I've been talking for about half an hour, but I know I actually did a restart after hitting the button, so I'm going to go on for just slightly longer here. You can see how that's been packaged. And here we have, I'm going to watch my computer clock to try to keep this around half an hour. Here we have an RTO kit called Reflection. I have no idea what city this actually is. You can maybe see the tiny little RTO M398 at the bottom. It is done on an Aida with DMC floss. Hopefully they'll tell us on the back what we've got. It's a 16 count Aida. And it is designed by Natalia Morozova. And nice scenic landscape of the kind that really calls to me. Next, we have one based on artwork by Paul Cézanne. It has, they call it Gardane, perhaps that's the name of his painting, I'm not sure, Gardane. Again, I'm sorry if some of these kit numbers are hard for you all to see if you need them to search by, but that's M359. It's done with DMC floss. It's on a 14 count Aida, and we have the same designer, Natalia Morozova. And I think I'll wrap up this video with 3 of the castle designs from DMC. They did a whole series of these, and I have just 3 of them. But I like them all. I certainly don't need them all. I won't get them all stitched. But this one is Harlech Castle, which I'm fairly sure is in Wales, but I don't know my English, British, I should say, geography, so I can't say for sure. This is on a, I'm thinking 16 count, yes, 16 count Aida. You can see the floss is there, and a little bit of advertisement for some of their other castle designs. I have 3 out of however many the total may be. My second one I cannot for the life of me pronounce. It is a castle spelled Dunguaire. Dunguaire, I don't know. It is also on, I'm sure, a 16 count Aida, because these kits are all very similar one to the other. They do also have numbers. This one is BK1347, in case you can't recall or pronounce or spell that castle either. And again, they have some advertisements on the back for some of their others. Those are both lovely. I don't believe I have videos. It's a 16 count Aida. Okay, yes, that's 1348 and 1349. And we're looking at 1347, and the one I just showed you was, oh, it was 1348. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell. That's the one I already have. It looks beautiful. I'm glad I have it. Okay, and finally for today, so that we can keep these not too long a video, I have Edinburgh Castle, and it is DMC's BK1345. So you can tell from the numbering there if they have a 1345 and a 48 and a 49. There's quite a few, and I have just 3 of them. But that's lovely, showing it sitting up there on its rocky promontory. And it is also on a 16 count Aida. So thank you for tuning in and watching my parade. I hope you saw something that you enjoyed. My plan is to continue to film and keep the segments down to about 30 minutes each, and keep going until I've done all my kits and all my charts, and post them at intervals. I may post a few before I finish, just so I will have the benefit of any feedback or comments you all wish to leave. Maybe you have something valuable that will help me improve the videos before I finish the series. So if you have any critiques of that sort to help me do a better job in what I have to tell you in the videos, or show you in the videos, or how I do it, please feel free to leave those comments. At some point I will stop filming and actually look to see what people have said on ones that get posted before I finish the series, so that I can make those changes if needed. In the meantime, please don't be like me and go overboard and buy more than you can use, but enjoy your own stitching, enjoy seeing what's out there, and have a really wonderful stitchy day. Bye-bye.